Hello, everyone. As far as I'm concerned, they needed to finally show that margin story that it was going to return. And we saw just huge margin rebound for Tesla. And it all comes down to supplies for next year. 20 to 30% growth is much higher than anyone expected, even bulls like us. Let's pop some popcorn because this is just the beginning of this company becoming worth more than $1 trillion. Mark, Tesla is still the most undervalued AI company in the market. Compared to other quarterbacks, they'll have 2 million deliveries next year, while most of the others can only do 100,000 to 200,000. What Tesla can do now is expanding their product line. There will be semis, roadster cars, and internet trucks out there. We think that entering next year with a sub $30,000 vehicle will be the key to how this all turns out, and you and I have been talking about this for a few weeks now. New York City cab driver was bearish in Tesla into this quarter. They showed the margins, they showed the delivery. And I do believe the robo-taxi takeaways was the wrong one that the bears came away with. This will be an autonomous and AI story over the coming years. Look, Kathy and Ark. One of the biggest supporters of Tesla writes. So they'll for the long term. If you look at their model on robo-taxis and where this is all heading, it just speaks to our broader point. This is the most undervalued AI play in the market. And I think what we saw with this quarter was a huge step in the right direction because the margins, because we could throw AI autonomous all day long, comes down to margins. You couldn't see their team margins showed the 200 bip improvement, now going to 20% next year, but look, 20 to 30% delivery growth. If they even hit the bottom end of that range, then this is a stock with a 3 in front of it when it comes to Tesla's impressive growth. It's not just about observing from the sidelines for Tesla bulls, and those with a keen eye for uncovering the next stock market gem. Seeking Alpha has everything you need to know about Tesla. Tesla's stock price goals, Tesla's new ideas, and everything. If you click on one of the affiliate links in the description and make a purchase, Elon Musk may receive a commission. I think it's too early to tell where this is all going because the autonomous and AI story is worth $1 trillion to Tesla on its own. So if it moves out by 6 months, it won't necessarily make a difference for us in the short term. What matters is releasing products that cost less than $30,000. I believe that in the first half of next year, margins will rise again, delivery growth will rise again, especially in China, and then you start to look at all the growth levers that could happen here. That's why, if you look at the last 24 hours, the bears are going back into hibernation mode. Obviously, it's been a controversial topic, but I think that for us, despite all the noise, it hasn't had much of an effect on demand. Now, I'm not saying that people won't be nervous about it in the future, but the truth is that if you make the best vehicles in the world for EVs, people will buy them. I think we saw that with the Cybertruck 300 and then the Bull Case 350. This is still a consumer AI play, so get the popcorn ready. Tech's going to be strong next week, and I think China will be the main driver. Street Wiz called 10 to 11% whisper numbers, which is a lot better than anyone thought. That optimism is very important. And that margin, this is really an Aaron Judge-like quarter when you look at the margins and the delivery outlook. Bulls will be happy because I think it's really market share gains. You're starting to see price cuts subside, and you're starting to see market share gains in China. They had their best month of deliveries ever. That's 40 to 45% of deliveries. Then you add in some signs of strength that I think will improve in the US and Europe. And then the big thing is that next year you'll have a sub $30,000 vehicle, and I think they double down on that. As much as we can talk about autonomous and AI, the focus is on the future deliveries and margins. I think this is where the turning point in the Tesla story began last night. The bears will argue that gross margins missed price. Cuts are still happening at lower ASPs. But I think this story is about AI robotaxi robotics and how prices are stabilizing, and I think demand is finally starting to turn the corner in China. That's why I'm more optimistic about the Tesla autonomous robotaxi story today than I was 24 hours ago, because you got the date I think outline maybe what I believe is going to be the prototype and how they expect to actually start to see a dent this year or possibly next year. If you look back 3 months, stocks were trading at 140, but now they're going below 100. If you look at where it is now, it's because investors are starting to see the AI store. I think Tesla is the most undervalued AI play out there. We think AI alone could be worth $1 trillion to the name. Also, this name is stabilizing from a demand and pricing standpoint. We've said it in public. This is a no-brainer because to me, it's all about Tesla doubling down on the AI story even more, which is what investors want to see. I've never thought of Tesla as an auto company. I've always seen it as a disruptive technology name. That's why the bears are going to come out today. They're definitely on the edge. Unfortunately, that's why stocks are going down. However, I think that in a few weeks or months, investors will start to pay more attention to 1010. That's a big part of the story. They beat by 200 bips price. Cuts in the rear view mirror. When you combine that with that growth forecast, I think whisper numbers are called 101%. They gave 20 to 30%. It's an Aaron Judge-like quarter, yeah. I think you'll have a sub-30 kg vehicle by first half of next year, and I think that all dovetails into their overall growth forecast 20 to 30% coming out of the gates for 2025. And now you look at their cost of good, and their ability to produce cars is down ultimately 30-40%. It could be down another 20-30%. When you look at the next year, it has been a painful year, no doubt, in terms of EVs and softer demand, but we've southeast on mar the renaissance of growth now is, I think, heading into 2025, and then you have autonomous. And I think a lot of the other growth drivers that, to me, it's key to what I see is $1 trillion plus market cap. Oh yeah, now look the bears that have been bearish. Since 100 million market cap, those bears will come out of hibernation mode today. But the reality is that they're going to produce over 2 million vehicles next year. And when you think about the overall growth story, more penetration on FSD talk, I think, ultimately more details last night. In terms of autonomous FSD cybercab, a lot of those details. Maybe some leftover books today, disappointed I was not, and look now. It's just execution, but the pokies in this story, I believe the most undervalued AI play in the market. I think like me and you, we could be in a cyber cab in the next 2 to 3 years. So we're not talking about something that's 5-10 years down the road. This is something that will, over the coming years, become a reality. And I don't necessarily view this as a negative for Uber. LIF obviously has their own issues. But when you look at Tesla, this is going to be the next stage of growth, autonomous FSD AI. But it comes down to you need the deliveries, you need the margins. They're checking every box. I actually thought that was probably the best conference call I've heard from Musk and Tesla in a number of years. Yeah, I wouldn't say it depends on Trump or Harris winning. I think the growth story won't change a lot. I do think that if Trump gets a second term, it will be good for EES because the tax credit will basically go away. But I do think it will be good for Tesla because that would give them more scale and scope compared to other players, and could potentially fast-track FSD and some of the other technologies that we see under a Trump administration. I do think Tesla is part of that I'll call Trump trade. But do you know who else shares in pro-Tesla optimism? Today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha, is the best website for Tesla news on the web. Click the link to go there. Click on the link in the description to see the most recent Tesla price goals, innovations, and other news. Elon Musk, there is a link in the description to a very good deal. Like the whole story, it's about gross margins. That's what's really made Tesla stock go up by $30 to $40 a share.